Welcome to another episode of Different Frames Podcast. I am Greg. I'm with my co-host Antonio, producer
Hey.
David, and we
Hello.
are here to talk about double features. We've decided this episode we are going to come up with some double features that we would like to see play in a theater near us.
Okay, so what have we before we get into our main topic today? What are some recent watches you guys have seen in the theaters or on DVD that you've enjoyed?
Yeah, so I saw a film. I may have seen it a million years ago, but it's called Born Yesterday, and it's most
Hmm.
famous because that's where Judy Holliday got the Best Actress over Betty Davis and Gloria Swanson, and they showed that down at an Alamo, and I'm sold. Like I always was like, yeah, I mean, that was the travesty or something. But Julie Holliday, she earned that Oscar. Like she was really acting in this. She was playing a part that was very different from who she is. And it's a really entertaining film. I don't know if either of you have seen it, but it's very entertaining. It's almost like a play. It almost entirely takes place in this kind of hotel suite, kind of in between a few rooms. Couple scenes where it's in Washington D.C. They go out to like the Jefferson Memorial,
Mhm.
but yeah, it's great. Judy Holliday is she plays kind of like this uneducated gangster's moll, and she's there with her gangster boyfriend who's going to try to kind of break into politics. He wants to bribe some senators and kind of expand his sphere of influence. And then she she decides that she wants to get educated. She meets this, I don't know if I want to go into the whole thing, but basically
Yeah.
she decides that she wants to get book learned, and so she starts doing that, and it's a great movie. So that would probably be the most notable one. I've watched a handful of other things. I saw Hoppers with my kids, saw Project Hail
Yes.
Mary,
Oh yeah, Project
rewatched
Hail
Glenn
Mary is
Glary,
great.
Glenn Ross, but yeah, Born Yesterday I think is definitely worth watching, if nothing else, just to see what Judy Holliday does and understand why she got that Oscar.
Right.
Um, so me and David talked a little bit about this, but over here in Los Angeles, the New Beverly had a couple months here where they changed the theater to have like more of adult film programming. Um,
Oh,
So they kind of changed it to a Eros theater. I didn't get to see most of the movies, but I managed to go see a couple Russ Meyer double features.
Oh yeah.
I went to go see Faster Pussycat Kill Kill. I don't know if you've ever seen that, Greg.
I think they showed it when I was in college.
Uh-huh.
I've watched it probably 35 years ago, but yeah,
Yeah, that
it's
movie
quite
was
a
just
movie.
awesome. Yeah, it was great to see it in a theater, just kind of like electric vibe in there. I had never seen it before, so I was really happy to see it. And then
Hmm.
they paired that with another Russ Meyer film called Motorcycle. Both these kind of desert crime movies, and they're just very fun and silly and kind of like dark. So it was cool to see those.
Be fun to see that in the theater. I bet the audience was into it too. That New Beverly audience is a fun crowd.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's usually a
definitely.
very high energy.
Cool.
Yeah, that was I didn't get to see much in the last month of that because I've been super busy with a personal project. But I in February I saw quite a few things at that in that New Beverly programming block. Um the probably the least attended thing I saw was it was two roughies from the mid '60s, which sexploitation films with violence. It's a pretty unpleasant batch of things. Uh, the great title though, one called "A Taste of Honey, a Swallow of Brine," which is a fantastic title for a okay movie. There is a scene in it
Huh.
where a guy is so horny that he needs to be shot, which I do think is like a great exploitation film scene. He's like running through the streets, being like, "Ah!" Like everywhere he looks, there's like women like on like billboards and stuff, and he like finally like runs into a house and the guy just shoots. The only way to stop this
Worth
man
watching it for that scene alone.
for that scene alone. Other than that, I saw just recently Onibaba, the great Japanese horror film, which I had
Hmm.
seen in college and didn't really like very much. Uh, Probably because it was like I watched it in my apartment with all the lights
Yeah.
on or whatever. It's just like a bad viewing experience. And I still thought it was a little slow in the theater, but I liked it a lot more this time through. I don't
That's
find
the
it
one
very
in, like, the
scary, but
cornfield, right? It's, like,
yes,
in a field and there's a okay,
yeah,
okay.
yeah. It was like
That's
a
cool.
woman who's like there's like a civil war going on. It's like the 17 or 1800s, and there's like a civil war going on, and this woman's like son has died in the war, and her daughter-in-law kind of live together in this field where they kill wounded soldiers and steal their stuff and then pawn off their swords. And
Hmm.
that's how they're eking out a living. And then, kind of as the situation gets worse, they lose sight of their humanity more and more and kind of become haunted by their many crimes. Uh, it's a little slow, I think, for the first half, but I did think it was much sadder than I remember it being, and a lot more effective as a
Hmm.
horror movie. So
Interesting.
cool. And
Huh.
now we get,
I've never seen that, but that's something I might have to
yeah,
watch.
it's like a perennially on like Criterion Channel and those. I think the rights are pretty easy to
Yeah, I
get.
know of it. I've
Yeah,
never watched it. Okay.
Alright, let's get into our
So
main topic of today, double
double
feature.
features.
double feature. Yeah, I'm almost done looking up my dates for these things too. So yeah, the first double feature that popped in my head are a couple movies that I've kind of always wanted to watch back to back, and I think a double feature in a theater would be the perfect place for it. It is, or they are, Martin Scorsese's Mean Streets from 1973 with Wes Anderson's Bottle Rocket from 1996.
Huh.
Oh, wow.
And the reason I connect those, and I don't know, this might just be, my own, mind overthinking things, but they're both very similar in a lot. They're kind of these young childhood friends that are just kind of mostly goofing around, but then they're also committing crimes. They both have these kind of like pop music heavy soundtracks. I don't know. They just, they're both early films in the filmography of directors who went on to become very acclaimed. Um, and I don't know. I just feel like there's parallels there that whenever I watch one, I always kind of start thinking about the other one. So I think that would be fun to watch them back to back, and there might even be some more apparent things, or you might watch it thinking those two films had nothing because they're very different. The feeling you get, like one is kind of violent and gritty,
Mhm.
and the other is kind of whimsical and funny. But yeah, I don't know. What do you would you watch that double feature? You're making a face like you think
Yeah. I think that's a really interesting double feature because both of those movies are really stylized but they're very different, like you're saying, like,
Mhm.
one is very bleak and definitely
Mhm.
the ending is really shocking of
Mhm.
Mean Streets, and then you kinda
Yeah.
go into Bottle Rocket, which are more like easygoing, um, kind of just a hangout movie in a way.
Mhm.
I mean, they're both kinda hangout movies in
Yeah,
a
I would say
certain
they're both a
sense,
hangout movie though. Yeah,
mhm. So I like that pairing for sure.
yeah.
Which one would you put
I think they're
first?
both evocative of their times. Oh, I would probably go chronologically,
Okay.
just kind of do the seven. But I think also like Mean Streets is, kind of what New York and America was at that in '73 in the early '70s. And I think Bottle Rocket is very much what the '90s were. I think, some of that grit versus some of that kind of ironic whimsy. They're sort of, aspects of the time, which I think kind of unifies them in a way too, because it really is
Hmm.
like young kids, here, young kids there. I don't know. Maybe it's just that whole they're buddies, but they're criminals at the same time. I don't know.
Mhm.
I can
I
see that.
remember was
I
it
haven't seen
when
Bottle
De
Rocket in
Niro
a
was shooting
while,
his
I would
gun
love
off,
to rewatch it.
kind of like when Dignan is shooting off the bottle rockets. I don't know. There's like little scenes
Yeah,
that
there's
spark that
comparison
in
to
my
be
head.
made.
So that's the double feature. But
Like
if you don't want to
those.
see it, you can go across town because you've got a theater. What do you feel?
Okay, so for my first pairing, So I chose The Mask of Zorro from 1998, directed by Martin
Oh,
Campbell,
nice.
and
Uh-huh.
then I paired it with Batman Begins 2005, directed by Christopher Nolan.
Okay.
So these two movies, I think, Mask of Zorro, classic movie for me. Like I loved watching that movie growing up. It's, swashbuckling adventure movie. I remember one time rewatching it and being like, "Wow, this is very like almost beat for beat, very similar to Batman Begins." Um,
Interesting.
in that they're both these movies about the hero sort of emerging and coming into its own, and you kind of see this origin of this hero, and obviously Batman was inspired by Zorro. So in that aspect too, that they have a little bit of a similarity in that, kind of starts out as like a revenge thing, like I'm gonna revenge on crime and
Mhm.
stuff like this, but then he realized like, oh, I need to become a symbol. I need to be for the people kind of thing. So
Yeah,
um
that is
they're both
interesting.
kind of they're both kind of long, so it'd be a long double feature for sure.
It's a
And
6:30
True.
double feature.
I'd I'd probably put Mask of Zorro first just because that's more of a swashbuckler movie, and then to kinda ease into the Batman Begins, because I feel like it's hard to follow up that epic conclusion of Batman Begins with another movie.
True.
So that's what I'm thinking. What
Yeah.
what do you guys think?
No, I think that's very true. And the inspiration thing too. I think even in I don't know if this was the movie or the comic, but
Oh,
somewhere in my mind, or maybe it was what Frank Miller did.
mhm,
But at some point, Batman's origin is his parents took him to see
yeah,
Oh, that's
Zorro, but
right.
maybe like the Douglas Fairbanks.
mhm,
Like that's the movie they leave because he gets
yeah,
spooked out by it. So
yeah, in
there's kind
That's
of
right.
that other little.
most of the comics, he's going to see Zorro. In Batman Begins, they don't take him to see Zorro. I forget what they take him to see, but
Mhm.
yeah, you're right. It's usually a direct. That's the direct homage to
Yeah,
Huh.
Zorro is that scene.
yeah.
Nice.
So no, that's yeah. I would say I haven't seen that Zorro film probably since it was in the theaters.
Yeah.
I kind of want to rewatch it now. Just you mentioning, I kind of want to see it again.
I feel like that
Oh,
movie
that's
was
great.
And
on TV all the time when I was a kid. Like, I have so many
Mhm.
really,
memories of, like, just sitting at, like, a uncle's house or whatever, and Zorro was on.
Well, I think
yeah,
it kind of laid the sort of groundwork that they ended up using for a lot of these superhero movies, and it was just
Totally.
right before that kind of wave hit.
hmm. And another thing too is Zorro and Batman are both characters that have been constantly put on the screen. There were the
Mhm.
Batman
Yeah.
serials. I think Zorro had some serials. Zorro was even in the silent era. The 60s. Like you've had, you had
Hmm.
Zorro, the Gay Blade. Like there were all these incarnations of Zorro and Batman throughout the year. So they're both characters that have been like James Bond or something, just constantly, in things. So it's interesting to see the two of them, these two kind of iconic,
Mhm.
really, kind of long-lasting superheroes.
All
Um,
right, Greg, what do you got?
I don't know. Should we press on? Okay. So the next one I have, um, sort of a loose theme here. There's oh, I got to look up I know who directed this one, but what year was this made? I think it's 1981. I want to just quickly get my facts straight before I shout it out here, so I don't give it the wrong year. Um, yeah, it's 1980. So The One-Armed Executioner, Bobby
Ooh.
Suarez film from 1981. And I will pair. Oh, I gotta look up the. Sorry, I didn't do my homework here. And I'm gonna pair that with Rolling Thunder from 1977, directed by John Flynn. And if you've seen either or both of the one arm executioners, where the guy gets his arm chopped off, and then he learns martial arts, gets revenge. In fact,
Mhm.
I'm looking now at the. In fact, this probably says it better than this is the IMDb, Interpol agent turned restaurateur Ramon Ortega overcomes loss and addiction. The master martial arts and seek revenge. The loss is, yeah, they chop his arm off, and I think they leave him for dead. But he finds the master who trains him to be a one-armed martial artist. He can like cock a gun. It's a crazy. Have you seen it? Have you seen this
I've
movie?
not seen
No,
this
I haven't
movie,
Um,
seen
but
it.
I'm surprised I
well,
I've
have.
heard about it.
and then Rolling Thunder is where the guy gets his hand chopped off and goes. So I thought those kind of were but you guys know Bobby Suarez was just like director from the Philippines.
Mhm.
He might be
Mm.
like like a Roger Corman or he's one of those kind of. He made these cult films. He did they call him Chop Suey. He
Yeah.
did Cleopatra Wong. He would do like after The Godfather. He did Cosa Nostra Asia. There was
Yeah.
Mean Streets. There was Mean Business. There
Mhm.
was
Yeah.
even this. I think was his take on Rolling Thunder. So, but yeah, I think they're both just kind of campy cult films that would play well back to back to see
Love it.
the one-armed guy and the one-handed guy. And they both same thing. They're both going after the guy that chopped off their limbs. So that's what you get when you show up in my
Nice.
theater that night. You're getting
Yeah, Rolling Thunder is so great. I was just thinking about the ending action scene and how great it is, and then it just ends. It just gets out of there. Like you just
yeah.
are like, well, that's
That
the
was the
movie.
70s.
What else do you need? Like
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
how they
Nothing
did
to
it. It's like
add.
so
it's done.
yeah.
Credits. You don't get. They don't stick around. You don't get hobbits bouncing on beds for an hour. 70s. They just. That's it. It's a wrap.
Then almost every time I use a garbage disposal, I think about that movie because it's absolutely
I think I'm
brutal.
going to now that you said that. But yeah.
It's like a god. Which one would you put first, Greg?
Um. It's tough to say. I might do. I'm just thinking of the audience. I might do the one-armed executioner first. I think Rolling Thunder is going to be the bigger draw because more people know it,
Yeah.
Mhm.
and so I might lead into it with that one arms for the stalwarts who really want to sit through both, as opposed to people who just want to show up for that one later feature. So I might do one-armed executioner, then top it off with Rolling Thunder.
All right.
How about
So
you? What do you compete?
my
What's your
next.
competing bill?
Oh, this is okay. This is an interesting one.
Okay.
So my next one is a movie from 1954 called Drive a Crooked Road, directed by
Ooh,
Richard Quinn, starring Mickey Rooney. And then
okay.
I would pair it with 2011's Drive, directed by Nicholas Winding Refn.
Whoa.
Okay.
So, uh, very different movies, kind of, but like also very similar in that they're movies about like a loner driver who's like wants to be a race car driver in a sense, and then is kind of enticed into a robbery or like this crime
Okay. So
situation
there,
where he has to become a getaway driver. Um, have you guys seen Drive a Crooked Road at all?
I have
I
not.
haven't. That's what I'm. It seems like there are
Okay.
some similarities there,
Yeah, so it's like
aside
a
from just having drive
noir.
in the title.
Yeah, it's kind of like a noir movie just in story premise, but it's different than most noirs. It was a Columbia noir.
Okay.
Um, but it's bright. It's like set like at beaches. It's a lot of it's set
Hmm.
during the day. Um, but I really like the performance, Mickey Rooney's performance in it. He's very like understated and kind of like
Is he the driver?
yeah, he's the driver. So he kind of plays this like sad like mechanic who like doesn't have a lot of luck with women.
Mhm.
And then this woman comes to the garage and is like, "Hey, I need a mechanic." And she starts to like flirt with him and, "Hey,
The
come to the
femme
beach
fatale.
and stuff." Yeah, so and she's great and it's Diane Foster.
Mhm.
I haven't seen her in a lot, but she's really good. And then it comes to light that, oh, they're tricking him to do this job for him as a getaway driver. Um, so I mean, I think a lot of noir people might be like, "Oh, this isn't a noir because it's not dark and set in like a city."
Yeah.
But it's I think it's got all the elements there, and then kind of pairing it with something like Drive would just be interesting because Drive has this sort of like this other level of like noir, neo noir, but like dreamy and
Mhm.
stylized. So
Yeah.
that's why I would pair them
And
together.
then
Kind
Mickey
of this
Rooney and
old
Ryan
movie.
Gosling, very similar actors.
Yeah, yeah. Well, I think what's interesting about this is I'm like, they're both playing this sort of sad, understated character. Um, Ryan Gosling probably talks less than Mickey Rooney in this
Yeah.
movie, but they both start wearing, these jackets and like they're just,
Yeah,
staring and stuff
I'll
like
watch
that.
that for sure. That sounds like the kind of movie I
Yeah.
love.
Oh
Would you
yeah.
go Mickey Rooney first? Or how would you pair them? How would you
Yeah,
show
I
them?
was thinking about this. I'd probably show I'd probably show Drive first just to get the people there because I
Mhm.
feel like I don't know if people would sit through the whole noir movie first. I think they'd
Mm.
be antsy to see Drive probably.
Yeah.
It'd be interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think I don't know. Drive to me is kind of like a late night movie in a way,
Yeah.
so
Yeah, that's I
probably go
like that.
either
That's
way.
something I've seen several times and I enjoyed every time.
Yeah, for sure.
So, yeah, no, that's a good double
Nice.
feature. That's exactly the kind of double feature we were thinking of when we came up with this idea too. To,
Yeah.
similar,
Unlikely
yeah,
pairings.
it's
Yeah.
yeah, it's not Star Wars or The Empire Strikes Back. It's like 2 yeah, that's a good one. I
Right.
like that one.
Well,
Cool.
Cool. Um, all right,
Go
so
right
and of
ahead.
course, having said that, my next one is exactly what Star Wars. No, it's a movie and it's direct sequel, but for the reason it's The Thin Man from
Okay.
1934, and then After the Thin Man from 1936. They're both directed by W.S. Van Dyke. Um, and the reason I paired it is just I love both movies, but it's almost like one movie because if you've seen them, The Thin Man, it takes place at Christmas, where uh, William Powell and Myrna Loy, drink a lot of cocktails, and somehow while doing that, they solve the mystery of the missing the Thin Man. Basically, that's the mystery. Um, and then once they've solved it, they get on a train to go to Los Angeles, and because they're in New York, and then after the Thin Man starts, as the train pulls into Union Station in L.A. on New Year's Eve. So like they've taken the train, and it just picks up from there. They go home and drink a lot more cocktails, and there's another murder, and they solve another mystery. So it's kind of these two, and they're short enough. They're maybe 90 minutes each, if that.
Yeah.
Like these are not epics. Like it'd be like the Kill Bill, the whole bloody deal, or whatever. You be after the Thin Man, the whole, and just it works as one cohesive whole, and it's just fun. You get Christmas and you get New Year's, and so I don't know. And plus, I just love those movies. I often watch. At Christmas, I'll watch Thin Man, and around New Year's Eve, I'll sometimes watch either Hudsucker Proxy or After the Thin Man. Those are my New Year's Eve movies, or The Apartment sometimes.
oh
So
yeah,
yeah, that's
great.
two black and white 30s William Powell Myrna Loy movies.
I was gonna
Was
say, I
the
mean,
second
oh no, go for
Go
it, go
ahead.
for it.
Oh, I was gonna ask, so was, like, The Thin Man really popular and that's why they made, like, the sequel here, or was it just one of those things where,
No,
I'm
it's
just
gone on. They
curious
actually
because
made 6 movies. They made
oh,
six
wow.
total Thin Man movies. It was a very popular. I mean, I don't know the box office, but I
Sure.
know that yeah,
Enough.
in fact the pairing of Powell and Loy, they did a bunch. They did those 6 Thin Man movies, and they did a bunch of others too. They were kind of like there's not really a modern equivalent now, but it used to be where you'd always have like, you know, Spencer Tracy and Katharine Hepburn, like these actor actress pairs that would work together. But yeah, they it was a popular film, and it spawned a popular sequel, and they did 4 more after that. But I'm sorry, you were going to say something?
Oh, I was just gonna say it's a real December 28th double feature here. It's
Yeah,
just a
yeah.
real
There you go.
perfect in
Right
that
in the
kind of
middle.
liminal space between Christmas and New Year's.
Yeah, that's probably when you should
Yeah,
show
that's
it.
a good idea.
Yeah, and obviously I'd show them, part one, part two. It wouldn't make sense to show them the other way.
Part two first.
Special segment, reoccurring segment that we'll do, just a weekly film recommendation,
Oh,
and we
that
just
one. Yeah.
choose
Okay.
a movie that we've seen recently or something that maybe we feel is kind of in the cultural zeitgeist that we would recommend, maybe a lesser known movie.
Yeah. Just a
So
hidden gem. Just we talk
yeah,
about a ton of movies, and we hope you want to watch them all. But each episode now, we're each just going to pick one. Like, here's something we think you should watch. We're going to directly tell you to go out and watch it. So, what did you come up with?
yeah. So I came up with a movie that I've realized that many people have not even heard of this movie.
Mm,
It's called Death to Smoochie,
Oh
mm,
yeah.
directed by Danny DeVito.
yeah.
Death to Smoochie came out in 2002. This is about a character in a children's TV show. Okay, so Robin Williams plays this character in a children's TV show, and he gets fired um, they look for a replacement for that time slot, and they find Edward Norton's character, who plays Smoochie, who's like a rhino, and it becomes this huge saga of like network corporation trying to like fill in this time slot. It becomes like a revenge of Robin Williams' character trying to get back his time slot. The mob gets involved, and it's just this crazy movie that like I was every turn the movie takes, I was like, "What is happening? Who made this?" And then I was like, "Oh, Danny DeVito
Danny
made this."
DeVito.
And yeah, and it's weird. It's like an adult movie, but it's like about a kids show, and it just I feel like it captures this like 2000s, late 90s sort of craziness of like television and media. Um, I feel like maybe people might struggle with how crazy the movie is,
Hmm.
but I would recommend it. It's something I'd recommend.
Yeah, that's a good recommendation. Um, I went with this movie. It's got Kyle MacLachlan plays an FBI agent, but he's got these kind of unconventional methods, and he's dealing with these supernatural problems. But it's not what you. It's The Hidden. I don't know if you. It's a couple of years
I
before
don't know
Twin
this.
Peaks came out. He did a movie. It's the same thing. He's getting that sharp suit, and he's kind of using these sort of mystical methods, even though he's an FBI agent. He's dealing with it's aliens in this one. It's ETs, but but yeah, it really feels like a precursor. I think he had already done Blue Velvet at this point, but watching this, it's impossible not to see this and think that
Interesting.
David Lynch didn't see him doing this and be like, I could, either he had Twin Peaks already and he put it, but it was like there's so many parallels there. It's even got Chris Mulkey, the actor who played Hank Jennings in Twin
Mm,
Peaks. He's also in The Hidden. He plays the guy who gets possessed by an alien. And it's even a little bit like Twin Peaks, where they go, there's like the doppelgangers, kind of the mirror
interesting.
image of the character. Where in this, it's the aliens kind of taking over. So it's like it's the person but they're not. It's invaders from Mars kind of thing. It's like they're
Hmm.
acting differently. So I just think it's an interesting. And Twin Peaks has kind of had a resurgence. I noticed the Alamo's been playing all the episodes, at least out here. I assume other Alamos are doing it, where you
There's a
can go
few
watch
theaters
two or
doing it.
three
Yeah.
episodes at a time. Yeah, and so it just seems like kind of it'd be a good time to check out this sort of precursor to McLaughlin's role as Dale Cooper. So that's The
Nice.
Hidden.
Nice.
I think it was
Nice.
Do you have a
1987.
recommendation on a way to watch that? Because that's a movie it's been on my radar, but I haven't been able to find it.
Um, I don't know if it's not streaming. Maybe a DVD. That's a good question. I don't know.
Mhm.
Um, maybe we could look that up and we can include that with,
Yeah.
or maybe, yeah,
It
maybe you
is
can look that up for us.
available to like rent from Amazon Video, it looks like.
Okay, yeah. So if you have Prime or something, you can put
Yeah.
$3-4. I hope not.
Yeah.
Yeah. It can be a video rental.
That appears to be
That's kind of my
the
pet
best
peeve
bet.
lately.
Okay.
Yeah, I've been noticing how, despite paying for Netflix and Disney and
Yeah.
Hulu and Prime and everything else, no matter what I want to watch, it's never any. I always
Yeah.
either have to like pay the extra
I know.
$4 or amount. It's amazing how much I'm spending on and never, never like I don't know when the last time I wanted to watch something and oh there it is. I can just watch. It's always an extra fee. Um, but yeah, so now back to our regularly scheduled programming, or should we do our acquisitions, our
Let's save
recent
that for the
physical
end.
media acquisitions? Okay. So now back to our regularly scheduled programming. It is whose turn is it? Double feature.
I think Antonio?
You just did.
Oh, it's my turn? Yes,
Yeah, we
it's
just
my
did Tin
Yeah, I
turn.
Man,
did
yeah.
Thin Man. So yeah.
Cool. So, my next one that I had. Okay, so here we have to have a horror double feature in here. So this is the horror double feature for all the
Good.
crazy people out there. This one might be kind of surprising. Uh, so I have first is *Malignant* from 2021, directed by James
Mm.
Wan, and then I will pair that with a Japanese movie called *Evil Dead Trap* from 1988, directed by Toshiharu Ikeda.
I've not seen either. I'm very
Yeah,
interested.
so okay, so let me talk about *Malignant* first because this was a weird movie. This came out, like, during the pandemic. Um, James Wan is, like, a director where, like, I obviously I like Saw.
Mhm.
Mhm,
The Conjuring movies have always been on my periphery, but I have not been, like they just never caught my attention, that style of movie.
mhm,
Uh And then so *Malignant* was coming out, and I was seeing the trailers, and I was like, "That looks kinda weird," like, I don't know, and then I was like, "Well, I'll just watch it, I have nothing else to do," and it just looked to me like something like The Conjuring. So, I started watching it here at home. It's about this woman who has these premonitions of murders, right? She's, like, seeing visions of murders, her, like, world gets taken over, and she's in the murders, right? So she starts
mhm,
investigating, like, "Why is this? Why is this?" Um I won't tell the twist of either of these movies, but, it just gets crazier, and soon I just started, like, laughing and just I was, like, jumping out of my seat, like, how
hmm,
crazy this movie is because it started being very campy and silly, and I watched it by myself, and I was like, "I have to go see this in the theater, like, I have to go see it with other people." So I invited a
mhm,
bunch of friends, we all went to the theater, we're watching it, everyone's like, "What is this movie?" Everyone's, like, laughing, like, "Ah, ha, ha," like, and it was so fun, like, so that's a movie where I'm like, it shows how, like, a movie theater is great for, especially campy horror movies.
mhm.
Um, so I would pair this first, um, and then I would add this Japanese movie called Evil Dead Trap. Um, this movie's interesting, it came out, yeah, in the late '80s. It's kind of giallo-esque, it's like group of TV reporters or like this woman gets a videotape of a murder and sent to her TV station, and she's like, "Okay, we have to go investigate where this murder took place. I don't know if this is real or not." So they go to like an abandoned military base, and one by one, the TV crew starts getting murdered in like these
Wow.
extravagant sort of just insane sort of like spikes coming through walls like things and you're like
Mhm.
what the heck is happening. Eventually the killer is sort of revealed. I won't spoil this, but
Yeah.
the killers in both movies, the twist is very similar in a sense, that it's not just straight up a guy, like
Mhm,
there's some other element to it.
mm,
And kind of just the escalation of how bonkers each movie gets. That's why I would pair them together. And they're both pretty gory. I would say Evil Dead Trap is more viscerally gory and like just disturbing in a way. Like you can tell the effects are kind of like fake, but there's just something about like Japanese horror and gore that you're just like, ooh, like
Yeah.
so. Just a word of warning, I guess.
okay. No, that's interesting. Like
Right.
I said, I've not seen either. Wow. I also like I don't know if it's horror, but I did monster movies for my final one, or my I guess it's gonna
Oh,
be. I've
nice.
got one more after this, but my technically final. But I went back to both from 1954. I did Them, directed by
Oh,
Gordon
yeah.
Douglas, and then the original Godzilla by Ishiro Honda. And I don't know, like watching Godzilla and watching them, I think them came out in like April. Godzilla came out in November, so they must have already been working on it. But they do seem like you can tell like them sort of feels like a little bit of a blueprint for Godzilla. It's like the
Mhm.
atomic bomb testing you guys have both these are not I'm not
Yeah,
spoiling
these are
anything. I
not
think these
new
are pretty common.
discoveries. Yeah.
Yeah. Um but just the ants that have grown to giant proportions because of the bomb testing versus the dinosaur that did the same because of it. So, but just I showed my sons them a few weeks ago, and watching
Mhm.
it, I was like, I want to show them Godzilla now because it's such a similar thing. But I think that would be a fun night at the movies just to have the giant and those ant. I mean, it looks pretty real. Like as far as like those 50s special effects often look kind of schlocky, but they did a good job making those ants look like big ants and made it pretty scary and like it's not you don't see the strings holding the bird or something or whatever like a lot of these the giant claw or something like
Yeah.
they it's realistic. The way that I mean, Godzilla obviously is fake because it's a giant dinosaur, but it also looks pretty like both those movies for the time did an excellent job of
Oh
making the
yeah.
monster look believable. Um, one I think, especially if you see like there's the American recut of Godzilla, which makes
Hmm.
it a little bit more like them or those style of movies. The original Godzilla is much bleaker and more kind of like a dark. Because I think whereas them is about the bomb testing in New
Hmm.
Mexico and these kind
Yeah.
of mutations. Japan had been hit by, so they had different kind of they're both looking at the same thing from very different perspective,
Yeah.
which is also kind of an interesting way to look at the film, like the approach the scientists and the military are taking on each side of things. But honestly, I was just trying to think of like a fun night at the movies, and two 50s giant monster movies seemed like the way to go.
Totally.
Yeah, that'd be
So
great.
yeah,
I have a
not
question.
the
Have you ever
story or
seen
fun.
have you ever seen the movie Phase 4, I think it's called?
Oh.
No.
So Phase 4 is the only movie Saul Bass directed. He was like a
Hmm.
artist,
I know
and he
Saul Bass.
directed. Yeah, so it's a movie about like ants in the desert, and they're like scientists working on these ants. They don't grow into a giant thing, but it's about like it's so I vaguely remember it, but it's like these ants grow intelligence or something. I don't know. It'd be worth watching, or maybe even putting in as a third movie here.
With
Yeah.
them.
Yeah,
Oh yeah.
it's in the
Phase
desert.
4. Air Scientist said I was from the 70s. Yeah, no, I don't know anything about this.
Interesting.
Hmm.
Interesting.
And
Yeah,
there's
no, I'm gonna.
the ending of Phase 4. There's like a lost ending too. So if you watch the movie, I would look up this like lost ending
Yeah,
as well.
no, Phase 4. Saul
Nice.
Bass. I only know Saul Bass. He did a lot of like opening credits and things, right? Wasn't
Yeah,
that
for Hitchcock.
Yeah.
is that what I'm thinking of? Yeah, that's
Mhm.
North by North. Yeah, yeah, that's why I know that name. But I didn't know he directed a film. And what an interesting thing, he did a movie about. I guess the ants start killing people. Is that what it is? Like the ants turn
Yeah.
on the.
On the scientist. Yeah, they turn on
Yeah.
the scientist.
Hmm.
Killer
That was
ants
kind of a theme. I
movies.
remember when I was a kid.
Yeah.
There was, right around that time, there was like a lot of movies about like killer bees and like, Food of the Gods, where the rat, like a lot of these,
Yeah.
that was kind of a theme in the 70s. They kind of went back to that 50s, common household pests, rats
Mhm.
and flies. And there were a
Nature's
couple movies
Revenge.
about like, was it Ben or Willard, like these movies about the kids that could control rats. Yeah, like just that was a theme. I didn't know that Phase 4 existed. That would be that's them, and Phase 4 might be even better than them and Godzilla. Who knows? So, um,
Oh yeah.
and then so that was it. You had just those. You had those four. Because for some reason I was doing five, and so
I
my
had one
fifth
more.
one.
I did 3,
Oh, do
but
you?
I
Okay,
can
good, good. Okay, let's
yeah.
hear yours.
So this one isn't as different, but this might be an obvious pairing in a certain
Yeah,
sense, but they're different enough. It would be The Hustler. Um, Shoot, I forgot what
Right.
year that came out. It would be The Hustler and The Color of Money.
yeah,
Um,
that's a good
I
idea.
think I think people who know like pool movies, obviously these are like the two pool movies.
Hmm.
I've come to find that it seems like some people know one or the other, though. Not many people know that, at least in my experience, not many people know that they're actually even sequels.
Yeah.
Um, so the original, The Hustler, I gotta look up when it came out.
It's like I saw it a couple years ago. It's like in the early
1961.
60s. Yeah.
Yeah, 1961. Paul Newman, he plays a pool hustler. Black and white, really great drama, just very bleak and sad. And then The Color of Money was directed by Martin Scorsese, starring Paul Newman kind of reprising his role, but he takes on more of a mentor position in this one, as Tom Cruise becomes like the young guy, the young pool player. Um, they're very different style movies, and I'm not exactly sure why Martin Scorsese like decided to make a sequel to The Hustler, but they're
Hmm.
both really great movies, and yeah, it would just be great to like sort of pair them back to back together, just to kind of see that story that spans like these 2 decades or a couple decades, you know?
Yeah, no, that would be great to see those back to back. I remember I saw The Color of Money when it came out in theaters and loved it. Didn't realize at the time it was a sequel. Eventually, at some point, I found that out, so I watched The Hustler.
Mhm.
That's with Jackie Gleason, right, as Minnesota
Yes.
Fats.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then it's also got a Twin Peaks. Isn't Piper Laurie in that too?
Yeah,
Yes,
Piper
it
Laurie.
is.
Yeah, so another Twin Peaks tie-in. Yeah, watch that with the hidden. No, but that would be great because I love that. There's not too many movies like that where you have, some movie from a long ago. They take the actor and they plop him in, and make the sequel like that. Um, Die Hard is actually I don't know if you know that Die Hard is a sequel to a movie Sinatra did, I think, in the '60s called The Detective, maybe early '70s. It's
Really?
another
I
one of those
have heard of that a long time ago. That's
In fact,
crazy.
when
I
they
didn't.
were yeah, when they were starting to make Die Hard, Sinatra was really he wanted to reprise the role. He wanted to be John McClane, and they just he was too old. He couldn't. They didn't
Yeah.
want him to do it. He really wanted to take that role on. But yeah, they're both based on books that detective, and then the sequel's not. It's called I have the book. I could pull it off the shelf, but it's a sequel to The Detective, and then they had made it years ago. So I'm looking over here at my shelf trying to see if I can see it from where I'm sitting. But yeah, they just at some point decided to film the sequel. But yeah, but there's not too many of those and I love that.
Hmm.
I really like
Yeah.
it when especially if they get the same actor. You see the old guy and then you know
If
watch him
only
age
they had
out.
cast Sinatra, I think it would have been successful, you know? Maybe would have had
Yeah, I
more
think Die
Die
Hard
Hard
would have been
movies
better
Die
come
Hard.
out.
than aging
Yeah.
Sinatra as come out to the coast. We'll get together. Yeah, that would have been quite the movie. I think that might have synced that movie. It would have because it's like The Detective. No one knows that movie. So um, yeah. Okay, so that means I get to do my. So this is the one I cheated. We
Oh
we
yeah.
alluded to it a second ago with Zam, Godzilla Phase 4. I did a triple feature. I
Oh,
figured
let's
if we're
go.
gonna put butts in this, keep them there all day. And so start the day with McKenna's Gold, movie from 1969, directed by J. Lee Thompson. Um, and then we're going to follow that up with Secret of the Incas, Jerry Hopper film from 1954. And do you know what's coming next? Do you know the connection of those two movies?
No.
We're going to close the night out with Raiders of the Lost Ark
Oh,
by
nice.
Spielberg film from '81, and it's because those two movies I feel like are the blueprint for Raiders of the Lost Ark. I believe Spielberg has said that Secret of the Incas was like a direct influence, but both of them I actually made some notes here to make sure I cover everything I thought of because McKenna's Gold is the early one. That's it's got kind of a similar plot. You got Omar Sharif to
Oh.
this hidden Apache gold. And it's kind of like them forcing Harrison Ford to do the same. And it's made in that same kind of Flash Gordon serial structure where they're dodging all these traps along the way, having these little mini adventures, and then they both also end with that treasure being kind of lost, like the Apache gold. I don't want to spoil the ending exactly, but they don't get the Apache gold, and he doesn't get the Ark of the Covenant. Both end up kind of inaccessible.
Mhm.
And McKenna's Gold, it's got a great cast. Not only is it Gregory Peck and Omar Sharif,
Mhm.
it's got Telly Savalas is in it, Burgess Meredith, Lee J. Cobb, Edward G.
Wow.
Robinson. It's got Eli
Damn.
Wallach, the ugly. It's got Julie Newmar. It's got Raymond Massey, kind of film noir guy.
Act.
Um, and but it's kind of the same thing. It's one of those like 30s style adventure serials made into a movie. And then Secret of the Incas is the one that if you watch it, you feel like you're watching. It's that's Charlton Heston, and he's got the same thing: the leather jacket and the fedora. He's raiding this Peruvian tomb to get this treasure. Um, the MacGuffin in this case isn't the Ark; it's called the Sunburst, but it's the same thing, and it really is in a lot of ways the same movie. It's just he looks the character Indiana Jones and his I forget the name of Heston's character, but they look the same. Um, and I just think they're both these just fun, old fashioned, just swashbuckler, adventurer, treasure hunt movies. And then, of course, finish it off with Raiders of the Lost Ark to kind of see
Of course.
what I think is the best of the three. Like Spielberg really took that blueprint and nailed it. But both those films have kind of some clunkiness to them. But I think anybody that could sit. I think sitting through the first two, you're not going to leave because you're going to want to see Raiders of the Lost Ark. So I
Yeah.
think it's a survivable triple feature. So that's I guess that's cheating a little, but I did the Saturday afternoon triple feature.
Nice.
So yeah.
Okay, so maybe like let's briefly say like which pairing we're gonna run to first for each other's films.
Oh yeah. You had a couple I really liked. I guess if I had to go with, I'd probably go with just the Malignant and Evil Dead trap because don't even know those at all, and they sound
Yeah.
just wild. And I'd like if they were in those are like see them in a theater kind of movie. So that's what I'm
Oh
going to
yeah,
see. What
yeah. I
about
would
you?
maybe
I've got
like
to
around
guess what you're going
Halloween
to see.
time.
Yeah, I'm trying to
Um.
guess which one of mine you're gonna.
Well, so before I really like the last triple feature. It sounds really
Uh-huh.
enticing, but I'm gonna go with them and Godzilla. I've
Oh,
seen
okay.
both those movies before, but I would just love to sort of pair them back to back in a theater, like a Saturday matinee sort of
Yeah.
thing, or you go in for a couple hours, easy watches with a coffee. Like I don't know, I'd
Mhm.
love to see that, especially them in like a movie theater, like the giant ants. Like
Yeah, I've
cool.
seen Godzilla in a I've never seen them in a theater, so that would be a good one. I thought you might go with the One-Armed Executioner and the Rolling, just because that's kinda
That
your
would be yeah.
Yeah.
old camp
Yeah, sort
wheelhouse,
of,
but yeah, that was my
grindhouse
guess.
double features. No,
Yeah.
for sure, I really like grindhouse stuff. I think that's, like, a big thing of, like, you know, why we kind of wanted to do this episode is that, this sort of an art form to double feature, pairings, you know? Um,
Absolutely.
I mean, I
That's,
really appreciate, like, a venue like the New Beverly that intentionally does that. Not sure if there's any place there in Austin that does anything similar.
I mean, sort of. There's not so much double features anymore, but there are a handful of these kind of indie theaters that will, kind of choose, the kind of movies we're talking about. But the double feature is kind of a lost thing. I think I've mentioned before the UC theater that's not there, and it's now a live music venue. But when I went to college, just half a block from the college was this called the UC Theater, and every single day they had a different double feature. And I still have like somewhere a stack of the old calendars. I'll just look through them sometimes, but like, oh yeah, I remember seeing Young Poisoner's Handbook and Cemetery Man together, and just being like,
Yeah.
whatever
Nice.
genius thought of that. It's like they would just spot on with some of their picks, and it was a treasure to have that.
Mhm.
You know,
Yeah, because
half a
like,
block away.
something like them and Godzilla, it's like you got your B movie, right? Like
Hmm.
that would play before the main feature, and then you got that main feature.
Hmm.
And then you have like with the other one with One Arm Executioner and Rolling Thunder, it's like that's the grindhouse double
Yeah,
feature for like later in the day, you know?
yeah.
Mhm.
And talk about something you don't have is just I don't. Is there a Grindhouse left? Like I remember going to New York and just Times Square, just dozens of theaters that were just open 24 hours.
Yeah.
Just one by one, just walk down the block, you'd pass 10 theaters. They were all 24 hours just showing God knows what. And just,
Yeah. Some real
you know,
sleaze in that lineup.
there was some sleaze, but some had first run, some had sleaze, some had nothing but like martial arts, some had porn. It was just,
Mhm.
but it was just, I don't think, are there any, is there a theater anywhere is there a 24-hour theater? Probably not. But is there
Probably
even a
not.
true grindhouse left? Is there because no one's making those movies. There's not really, or if they are, I don't know about it. Like, are they don't have directors just turning out that kind of because there's no audience.
Hmm.
You couldn't fill those seats anymore. I don't know.
I know there is a
It's
David,
a whole
what
little.
are
different
your
topic.
Well, I
what are
was
your
just saying,
thoughts on that?
I think there is a little bit. I don't know about 24-hour. I know there is in Toronto at least one theater that kind of specializes in 3.5-hour Bollywood movies. Um,
Okay.
so that might kind of fall into the same category where it's like kind of niche
Hmm.
audience. Um,
Yeah.
and it's because Toronto has a very large immigrant population from India, so there's like
Hmm.
a
Yeah.
built-in audience, and then there's kind of people who are maybe not from that community who are kind of discovering it. Um,
Hmm.
so there, I know that still exists. There's a little bit of that in terms of in various Chinatowns around America. I know I was in
Mhm.
Flushing, Queens, uh, recently, and there was at least
Oh,
one
my wife
theater
is
that
from.
was doing like late night, like contemporary martial arts stuff coming
Cool,
out
okay.
of China and Thailand, especially. But
Yeah.
not stuff
You
I
know, there
ever like
is
heard
oh,
of. But
yeah. There's a theater near, in fact, one of the closest theaters. It's just a Cinemark, but I think because of the demographic of where I'm, in fact, I'm looking at their calendar now. They have 20 screens. One of them is playing a movie in Hindi.
Mhm,
One screen they've got usually there's a Tamil.
mhm.
I think it's another. There's Kannada, another
Yeah,
Telugu. Like they've got all the Malayalam, like all these different Arab. There's an Arabic film, another Malayalam. I'm not probably saying these, but they've got
sure.
about 8 of their screens devoted to like Indian and Middle Eastern movies. So
Wow.
there is something like that, but
Yeah, I think that's the
which is
closest
cool.
equivalent in terms of just like
Yeah.
kind of recapturing that kind of niche audience is maybe in these international cinemas, but I don't think the exploitation film doesn't really exist in America
That's
anymore.
what it is. It's you don't have the exploitation. It's either fallen
I
out of
think
favor or just
yeah. Unfortunately, they
yeah.
had tried it with Tarantino and, Robert
Yeah.
Rodriguez had tried it, but nobody at that time, nobody really knew what the deal was, like,
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think maybe the kind of hope for nowadays is that people now are a little more primed to know what grindhouse means and what the history of that is. I think because of the success of certain filmmakers, obviously, and that maybe Tarantino and Robert Rodriguez kind of pioneered that and took that risk a little bit. Um, the trouble now is that it's hard to get people into theaters in the first place,
Mhm.
That's the thing, yeah.
but I think the idea of exploitation films is something that we're like I think lacking as a culture and that people probably want. They just don't know what they want it because
Yeah.
I mean,
I
who doesn't
wonder
want
if
that? Like,
now that it's becoming cheaper to make movies,
mhm,
if you might not see kind of like an underground, kind of exploitation or grindhouse style of film coming out. And then as theaters are struggling to put people in seats, how hard, maybe you could convince your local AMC or something to like, hey, show these weird independent exploitation films. That might be the future of some of these theaters,
Mhm.
that if they can no longer get people to buy tickets, maybe they could sell tickets to kind of grindhouse fare,
Yeah,
might be a way to kind of save some of these movie theaters.
I was just reading about, kind of the first round of the Grindhouse stuff, and what
Mhm.
actually spurred that on was, the Paramount decision, and all the studios had to liquidate their theater holdings. So all of a sudden, there
Yep.
was all these movie theaters that no longer had their movies coming in from the studio who used to own them. And so
Mhm.
there was suddenly this massive market for any other movies.
Yeah.
And that's where, like, somebody like Roger Corman stepped up and was
Mhm.
like, I can pump out a million bad movies a year. And
Yeah.
with increasingly
It would
salacious
have to be
titles.
something. Yeah, it would have to be something, because right now it's like the mentality is I'll wait to stream it.
Yeah.
And if you have this kind of entire subset of filmmakers who are going to make films and just not stream them and
Yeah.
just, make it specifically with theaters in mind, um, then people they kind of get like, hey, I've heard about this weirdo, hobo with a shotgun, whatever
Mhm.
type of movie, the cocaine bear, like those are, because those are like,
Yeah.
that's kind of the grindhousey stuff, but it's not gonna stream. That might be what kind of gets them into the theater if you could kind of, also, 'cause so that Paramount decision, that was rescinded at some point. Like
Yeah.
you're
Yeah. A
a
couple years
studio now
ago.
can't own theaters, which, benefits the streamers mostly, but, maybe you could have even, the AMC or these theater chains bankrolling the movies. Like, hey, we got to fight against streaming. We need a stream of movies that are not going to, a source of movies that are not going to
Yeah.
stream. They could be the ones that, to go full circle. Just suddenly it used to be the movie studios owned the theaters. Now the theaters will have to own the studios to create movies for them
It's
that are
basically the
proprietary, that they
Netflix.
just, yeah. Because that's what Netflix has done, is they've, like, they're doing, what used to be considered I forget the word, but the what was outlawed for so long.
Hmm.
And Disney has, Disney streaming service, and Disney making movies. They're doing what the studios were doing. Instead of owning theaters, they own streaming services.
Hmm.
So that might be a way theaters can fight back. I'm always
You
thinking
think,
about this. I'm because I'm
yeah.
worried that there's going to be a day very soon when more and more theaters are closing, and I won't be able to go see movies. So
Hmm.
All
anytime
you
I
gotta
think it's
tell them, you gotta just tell them you can play more ads in between the movies.
Yeah,
People,
well, they had some commercial breaks to the movie.
yeah.
yeah.
But
Tubi style.
yeah, I mean, yeah, I
So
think you're right. I think
speaking of,
the worry is that uh, this won't be available for the theater viewing. But I also encourage you guys, like listeners and stuff, like have your double features at home. Like if you're interested in any one of ours that we have, put them on, invite some friends over, do both of them, commit to like doing both, and see what you guys think.
yeah, and treat it like a theater. Like, start the movie and just, don't pause it, don't
Mhm.
text, just, actually, pretend, even if it's just five of you in a living room, you know, force yourself just to sit through an entire movie without stopping it to make a pizza or something. That's kind of the fun of these things, is just absorbing the whole thing at once. Speaking of watching at home, we should probably go over
Oh,
what we've
physical media?
recently acquired.
Yes.
Yeah, which I have to. I
Oh,
I pulled it out, but I'm gonna run grab my stack. So
Okay.
BRB.
We're starting another new segment here, physical media acquisitions corner, where we're going to talk about recent buys that we got either on DVD, Blu-ray, VHS, something that we have to hold in our hands and we bought in a store. So we'll go over those. Okay, I'll go first. A recent acquisition. I've been seeking this movie out. It's been hard to find, but I got Cruising,
oh,
the William
nice.
Oh yeah.
Friedkin, Al
Yeah.
Pacino. Um, Something I was recommending that my girlfriend watch because I think she would like it. But it was so hard to find this movie. I was like, they don't want people to see this movie. They don't want people to watch like a killer LGBT,
Yeah.
BDSM like underground movie. So
Yeah.
I finally found the 4K Arrow 4K at Barnes and Noble. I'm like, I'm getting it. It's just rare. Um, Maybe this will come up again on another double feature episode if we do these again, because I have a good pairing for this. So you'll just have to
Okay.
stay tuned. I didn't want to
Nice.
reveal it on this episode. And then I went to a couple thrift stores one day, and then, or no, it was like a flea market. And then I saw this four action packed movie marathon sitting there for $10, and I was like, I gotta get it. So this
I can't
has,
make out the titles, but what do you got there?
yeah, so
What
this
do we
has
got?
Cyclone, Alienator, Eye of
Oh,
the
baby.
Tiger, and Exterminator 2. So,
Just Exterminator 2. That's so good.
yeah, not Exterminator 1, it's just Exterminator 2.
It's the
So
sequel.
I was like, yeah, I haven't
Well,
watched
there's your
any of
quadruple
these.
feature right there.
Yeah, so I can't wait to watch these. Gary Busey is in Eye of the Tiger, so that's exciting.
Hey,
But
can't go wrong
they
there.
looked cool, and I was like, I gotta get this. So here we go.
Awesome.
Oh,
Anything
yeah.
else?
What about you? That's it right now.
Okay.
Waiting on the criterions to come in the mail.
Okay. I got a
Nice.
little bit of I'm going to break it into four quick. Well, I guess three. Um, so I talk about my son. I got a 7 and a 9-year-old son. We've been doing what we call our creature features, where on Friday nights we'll watch some old school kind of a scary movie, but nothing that's going to
Yeah.
give them kinder trauma, like just kind of. And so my older son, we'd actually gone to the movies. They showed The Blob
Nice.
at the theater near here a couple years ago, and he remembered it, and he said he wanted to watch it again. And I didn't own it, so I picked up a Criterion of The Blob,
Classic.
and I think if we're going to watch that, I had to get Beware of the Blob, the sequel. The only
Oh
movie that
yes.
what's his name? Larry Hagman, Jr. from Dallas. The terrible sequel. So we watched back to back nights. We watched The Blob and the Son of the. It used to be called Son of Blob. Now it's Beware of the
Yeah.
Blob. And then
That
I got
movie's
another
crazy.
that you haven't watched yet. I got Boris Karloff. It's made in the 50s, but it's called Frankenstein 1970 because it's like set in the
Oh,
future. This time, Karloff plays the scientist, not the monster. And then you'll like this. After watching those Jawlos, I was pretty stoked by those. So I got a little stack of these. I bought. I got Don't Torture a Duckling.
Oh, nice. Fulci.
good one.
The House with Laughing Windows.
Okay.
Haven't seen that.
I got The Cat of Nine Tails.
Nice.
And then I got. I believe this is this. What Have You Done with Solange? I think that's also one. And then
think
this
I've
is a movie
seen
I've
it.
actually seen that's technically not a Giallo, but it totally is a Giallo. It's Alice, Sweet Alice.
Oh, that's
It's
a
an
crazy
American.
movie.
Great movie. Great
Yeah,
movie.
but it's cool. It's the only one of these I've actually. Well, I guess I've seen a couple. But this is the one that I've definitely seen. And then the last, real quick, I just got. My kids are also getting into those old they're called peplum, the
Mm.
swords and sandals gladiators. So I found somebody was a cheap sale. I got Hercules. I got the Mole Man against the Son of Hercules. I got the Invincible Gladiator. I got
Hell yeah.
the Invaders, and then I got Sinbad against the Saracens.
Yes.
So
Sinbad.
five more sword and sandal epics to raise my kids right. So those are my
Amazing.
recent acquisitions.
I had the trailer for Hercules Unchained on 16 millimeter back in the day.
Oh, nice. Okay,
That's still
yeah,
sitting in my
I've
parents'
got that one.
basement somewhere. That reel is, but
That's cool to have the 16 millimeter there.
Mhm. Cool.
Yeah. Did you pick up anything? Are you anything you want to
Yeah,
show us?
I got two here. The first one is I grabbed the new 4-disc Shin Godzilla box set
Oh
here.
wow.
So
Yeah.
I love this movie from 2016, directed by Hideki
Mhm.
Anno. It's kind of a reimagining of Godzilla, in the same way that the original Godzilla movie was a response to the atomic bomb. This is a
Mhm.
response to the Fukushima nuclear disaster in, was that 2013, I believe, and largely kind of the failure of the Japanese government to adequately respond to it. So this imagines
Mhm.
Godzilla as this imminent threat where the bureaucrats of the Japanese government are struggling to figure out which department is in charge of Godzilla while he's already destroying the city. Uh, and
Yeah.
it's up to some lone radicals within the government to stand up and figure out what to do about Godzilla. But it also, in Anno's style, he did the anime series Neon Genesis Evangelion. It
Hmm.
kind of deals with these very existential themes of, taking very seriously what would happen if you indeed fell victim to some sort of giant unknowable creature. Uh, it's very
Yeah.
good. Um, this is the new 4K that just came out of this. They just restored
Mhm.
it, even though it's from 2016. But that probably just
Yeah.
means they upped the special effects slightly. And then on the
Yeah.
other end of the spectrum here, I've got Orgy of the Dead. This film was directed by Stephen C. Apostoloff, but crucially was written by Edward D. Wood Jr. Uh,
Well,
one
there
of
we
my
go.
one of my personal favorites. This movie is dismissed in the Tim Burton Ed Wood film. Uh, in
Mhm.
the final title card where it says, what happened to everybody, it says Ed was reduced to making monster nudie films. This is the aforementioned monster nudie film.
Oh, I've
Uh,
seen that. I know exactly what that is. It
yeah.
really is just a lot of naked people dancing, right?
Yo, yeah, yeah. It's really
Like, is that,
crap. It's really
yeah.
trash, but it's
Yeah, no, I didn't recognize the title, but as soon as you said that, I'm like, oh, I saw that so
yeah.
long ago, but I know that movie. Yeah,
The premise is
not appropriate for teacher teacher, but
no. Well, the premise is it's a group of kids, like a couple, who are supposed to, I think, be teenagers, but I believe both of the actors are in their 30s, as is the case in
yeah.
many of these things. Um, they like
The
their
Blob.
right, their car breaks down in a cemetery, and then the rest of it is just like a mummy themed girl comes out and gets naked, and then like a Frankenstein themed girl comes out and gets naked, etc. uh it
Yeah,
also
no,
it says
I've totally seen
based it says based on the novel by Ed Wood, which I cannot possibly imagine what happens in that book because there's
You have
no
to track that
appeal to
in.
this. But it has, if you like Ed, it has, despite not being directed by him, it does have a lot of his signature things. Of course, the female character is named Shirley, which was Ed's alter ego's name. And he would frequently write Shirley into things to have kind of little adventures for himself. And then it has kind of the day and night shift rapidly. And I think the real treat is the first 5 minutes of this opens with Criswell, who does the introduction to several of Ed's uh, older movies, Bride of the Monster
Mhm.
and Plan 9 from Outer Space, who's a local TV psychic in Los Angeles in the
Mhm.
50s, giving the drunkest performance I have ever seen in a movie. The opening of this, he is visibly reading cue cards and slurring his words like I've never seen. And it's amazing. And he also the introduction is just written for a different movie. He's like, what will they survive the night of the ghouls? And that's just like a completely unrelated title. Um,
That is such a
Orgy of the
good
Dead.
thing.
This is I got this from Vinegar Syndrome. Put this out.
Nice.
Um,
Worth every penny.
Worth every oh yeah. The
I
rights
mean,
to
you gotta have it.
the rights to Ed's like more well known stuff are like kind of in a weird limbo. So hopefully that gets
Hmm.
sorted out and we can finally get the 4K restoration of Bride of the Monster and Plan 9 and Glen or Glenda that
Yes.
everybody
Yeah.
wants.
Wow. Good finds.
Right. Yeah.
Cool. Um, I guess we're about to wrap it up now. I think
Oh
we've
my
covered
god.
everything, right?
Hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's all I
Well,
got.
there you have it. Another episode in the can. You want to take us out?
Yeah. Yeah. Thanks for tuning in, guys. If you have a double feature you would suggest that we watch, feel free to comment it. If you like our double features, if you have a suggestion to add as a triple feature, let us know. Make sure to like and follow us on social media and YouTube. And just thanks for listening. Next episode, we got a good one. Have another recommendations for each other, subgenre recommendations for each other.
That's
So
right.
tune in next time.
Cool.